Okay, we are live this Taco Tuesday, 9/24/2024. This is Lucifer Tim, the 33rd degree, bringing us in. And by the way, if you're a long-term listener of Infinite Plane Radio, not only is this mind war inoculation, and for some it does cure mind AIDS, but most people have already cured themselves of that before they get here. But you are also pretty much higher than a 33rd degree. Because you find like Shaq. Shaq doesn't know the earth is flat. I mean, he thought about it. They took $20 million from him. But obviously, he's not fully in the know. You can't find anybody who's obviously in the club who seems to be in the know about the big picture. So I would say that we're somewhat higher than that. I don't know if your IPR press pass will get you into any kind of eyes wide shut meeting or Diddy freak off, but for the most part, we're in the know about all the important things. All right, we are joined by, wow, 44. Okay, we are joined by Observing Reality, Frank Murr, Joe Fior, Matt X, Josh Lebsock, American Fathers, Armin Ree, Green Smoke, Deprogram Truther, Jamatra 101, Diana South over from D-Live. Let's Go says my favorite song to start the stream. Frugal Snowbird. Okay, Slick Rick 333, thank you for joining. We says I love this song. LAC says hi. Jungle Jim says hit that like. Messianic Charlatans here. Matt X. Cub Star Quays. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We have more than 50 here. And we missed a day yesterday, but I'm working on things that are actually mission critical. And we're coasting into what I think is going to be a satisfactory conclusion to a lawsuit. We're just waiting to see how things unfold, but outside of my control, this has nothing to do with me, but Goldfinch got himself into trouble by getting sued by Hunter Biden, and he's going to be doxxed in the discovery process within, and they move it back all the time, so before the end of October. So it's coming regardless. We just got to stay alive and keep the tank moving, and we will see victory. Joined by Isabel Ann, Tunex, Zin Valis. Okay, phone's open right now, 505-510-4226, in case you weren't able to get your calls in. I made a prediction the other day. I said this entire drama about Diddy and these celebrities who all went to his party, I said this is going to be, in all likelihood, a psyop to make it seem like conspiracy theorists are dangerous. So if you recall, after these Diddy accusations came out, anybody associated with him came under fire on Twitter. People went after Pink. They went after Megan Fox. They went after a number of other celebrities because of their association with him. I think even Swift, Taylor Swift. So this is guilt by association. It's like, honestly, this is like a watered down version of Pizzagate. And everything is just watered down. It's all recycled. Whoever talks about Pizzagate and QAnon anymore? Nobody, but it's the same thing. So I don't think this is getting us anywhere. I don't think that there's going to be any kind of resolution. I think it's a big nothing burger. But I suggested that these celebrities like Pink, who had deleted their Twitter accounts, were doing so that they could blame conspiracy theorists for being dangerous. Because for some time, I was waiting for a QAnoner to come out and take a shot at Tom Hanks, for example, or Oprah, because of their belief that these are baby eaters. Well, listen to this. So Pink quit Twitter, and she said, quote, she got death threats and experienced absolute hatred. She said, I'm free. Yes, I'm done. So Pink deleted Twitter over these Diddy-related accusations that she was some kind of, I don't know, some kind of bad actor with regard to these parties. And then there's this clip where Kim Kardashian is talking about the naked P. Diddy parties. It sounds atrocious. You got Obama, Michelle Obama, you have Oprah Winfrey, and just a smattering of leftist celebrities running around naked, supposedly in front of Justin Bieber, who was a minor. Although they say he was 18 when Pink grabbed him on the stage. But regardless, I'm not defending their behavior. I just think that this is a big reach. And until I see pictures, I'm not going to believe it. I'm not saying Diddy's a good guy. I did see a video where he was kicking somebody. But he's also neck deep in the PSYOP entertainment complex. Look how close he is to a couple of well known death fakers. Tupac, not dead. Biggie Smalls, not dead. So he's too connected for me to think that this is some random thing, that this is justice coming, and that there's going to be any vindication from Trutherville. If anything, this has revealed that Trutherville consists of gullible people who are willing to fall for simple witch hunts, guilt by association. But they have a short attention span. Last year, they were so scared of Haitian cannibals. They forgot about that. Now they're worried about Haitians eating their cats. And the Haitians are pushing back, as we'll see today. I got this from Messianic Charlatan earlier today. This is a lyric from a Diddy song. Ayo, call me Diddy, I run this city. Send the cops, the feds, and the DA to come and get me. So this sounds to me like a meta script, like a long-term story. And I'm not familiar with his story. I've never read his lyrics. I never really thought he was a competent musician or anything. I'm surprised he gets any kind of attention like this at all. But so this is called Let's Get It, and this is from 8 years ago. But there may be something in the lyrics. There may be something in the lyrics and in the general content here, like a bigger story that I'm just not privy to. But in his lyrics, he did seem to make some insinuations that he is some kind of powerful person through the power of blackmail. And again, I think this is Epstein Island level stuff. And one other point that's interesting about this, the conspiracy theorists on the right, Trutherville, they're all about taking down Diddy because they believe he's close to the Democrat media complex. And anybody on the left, they see Swift as possibly associated with this. So this has a huge, I think, possible win for them in terms of guilt by association. But interestingly, the same people who want to see Diddy get justice don't see anything wrong with Andrew Tate. And you could argue that Andrew Tate is far worse based on available evidence. The insinuations are worse with Diddy in a way, but the admitted abuses and crimes of Tate, he has an academy, what is it, Tater Tot University, where he trains young men to be groomers and women abusers. I mean, really insane stuff. Okay, let's see. We have here Joe Fier says, are the freak-offs real or fake? Yeah, I don't know. I look at the list of names and I'm like, okay, I think Eyes Wide Shut, you have these masks and it's all. I look at this and I'm like, I hope they have bags over their heads. I mean, really trashy behavior. I kind of think it's fake. And there isn't any place for people to be pointing fingers. The left and the right, at the top, they're all blackmail. They're all gross. I mean, we've already discussed the right wing, like America First, Ollie Alexander, all the groomers. And Ollie Alexander, I think he was dating Karl Rove for a long time. So he's deep into the conservative mutual blackmail society. So I don't even think it's a big deal. In today's culture, I think if all these things are true and all the videos came out, it would only help them. They would probably launch OnlyFans. Like, to be able to blackmail someone, they have to be shameable. And these people are shameless. Unless it's frazzle drip level, unless they're literally skinning people and wearing their skins and dancing in the moon like Eddie Gein, it's a big nothing burger. Till says they have Trump behind bulletproof glass at the outdoor rallies. Yeah, I saw that. Looks kind of like Harrison Ford in Captain America when they shoot at him and he's the president. A little bit of predictive programming. Isabel Ann says he seems very troubled. Yeah, P. Diddy's a creep AF. I met him in an intimate environment. His people called ahead of his arrival and told me not to look him in the eyes. Well, did you see the tattoo? Supposedly, there's a tattoo on his back, and I think it's his back. And it is some kind of, I believe they call them Loas. It's a voodoo spirit, an aspect of the goddess, but a punishing, angry goddess. And that's interesting because it seems to connect with Bad Monkey, which is on episode 8, the Vince Vaughn. And it all revolves around voodoo. And there's been a lot of talk about voodoo because of this thing with the Haitians in Haiti, which of course has continued to snowball, and we'll get back into that story. Lean Dion says, Diddy 1999 interview predicts his arrest. Okay, let's take a look here. And yeah, I'll open up Discord phones as well. So Diddy predicts in 1999 Entertainment Tonight that he would be arrested for throwing parties.
They won't even give me a permit for the parties, man. They don't want me to throw the parties no more. But we ain't gonna stop. We gonna keep on having fun, bringing people together from all walks of life. You're gonna hear about my parties. They're gonna be shutting them down. They're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we want to have a good time. You know, whenever you bring up a different element into people.
It can't be that bad. I think LeBron James said there's no party like a P. Diddy party. So I don't know how bad it could be. Although LeBron James is kind of a skull and bones guy. I don't know if you've seen all his hand gestures and his tattoos. But again, I don't expect anything to come from this. But yeah, here he is. Thank you for the link there. 1999, predicting he would be arrested for this.
People's environment, things that broaden people's horizon. People get intimidated. There's a lot of people out there that feel intimidated by it. It ain't nothing.
Now, can we at least agree that he exists? Because there's this whole section of Trutherville who are gullible in when it comes to their own claims. They just fall for anything. And I hate to say it, because some of these people seem to have discernment, but they fall for these things like this. Drewski says, what are the chances that the footage we're seeing of the arrest is the old, pre-recorded of the real deal, and they had an actor in place for the last few years until the news was released? So this is QAnon level thinking. You pick up your Q pipe, take a few hits, and you come up with something like this. So what they're saying is that Diddy was already arrested and killed by the white hats for the deep state stuff he did. But they couldn't tell us yet, so they have a clone out there to be arrested publicly so we can all see. That delusionist, and when I say crackhead, I'm spelling crack with a Q. This crackhead stuff needs to stop. So here you have 3 pictures of Diddy. And these individuals saying, that's not him, it's a different guy. No, this is called focal lengths. These are different cameras. Look at somebody through your peephole. Look at him through your phone. Look at him with any other kind of camera and various distances, different angles, and you can change the shape of the face. Foreshortening, focal lengths, all these things matter. So this is Diddy. He wasn't replaced. But unfortunately, some people, and I hate to say it, but Human Vibration says, Drewski falls short of realizing it's always been an actor playing the role of Diddy, not just something that developed in recent months. What's the evidence that there's been a series of actors, that it wasn't one individual? And she goes on to say, but I'm happy to see how many people see through the Hollywood magic. The spell is breaking. The spell's not breaking if you don't know about focal lengths. The spell's not breaking if they arrive at some schizo incoherent nonsense. This is QAnon nonsense. They just went off the rails here. So no, and the thing is, this happened before. Last year, Jamie Foxx was said to be a clone because people saw 2 different pictures from 2 different types of cameras, and they arrived at the conclusion that he must have been cloned, which has all kinds of problems attached to it. Like, how fast, are these clones born at the same time, and you just have one sitting on a cryogenic freeze? It just raises all kinds of questions, and it takes it out of objective reality into MSM+. And then they pat themselves on the back and say, we're so awake, we see through. No, you actually didn't see through. You tripped over your own cognitive bias. Now, I looked at this today. Jake Paul, he's about to fight Mike Tyson, and he says, Shannon, the dude, posted this. He said, I've never been more confident in Mike Tyson than this. So I'm looking at this short clip. I'm going to play it. This is Jake Paul, brother of Logan Paul, and he's bench pressing a lot of weight. But the first thing I noticed when he lays back,
I'm the strongest heavyweight in existence. No spot. Come on, man. Let's go.
Okay, he looks about 12 months pregnant. Look at that distended, bloated belly. Nobody's going to tell him. No one's going to tell him that he looks like he's wearing a big inflatable bodysuit. And then I'm looking at these weights, and I have a gym here, and the 45-pound plates do not look like this. So he looks inflatable. His weights look inflatable. Let me play this clip here.
This is it. Come on. Lightweight. Come on.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. It says 8 plates. No squatter, but look at that. Then he gets up and he jumps around, and you can see he looks like Fat Bastard from Austin Powers. Look at that. That is Fat Bastard. That is Mike Myers' fat suit from the Austin Powers. This is insane. He's gonna get crushed. I mean, this is insane. So I look at the comments here, and here's what Dr. Raven said. Dr. Raven, the science maven, said, everyone's questioning whether this is a fat suit or not. They're completely missing the fact that his nipples are missing entirely. And I looked at that, and yeah, they seem to have disappeared. They're on the other hemisphere. Like, where are those? Where did they go? Fit Dad said, the weights are fake. So is the gut. Is this dude so hard up for attention he's wearing prosthetics? SS Good Girl says, why is he pregnant? There isn't a single real thing in this video. He's wearing a fat suit. How can Jake Paul fight when he's so close to giving birth? Yeah, he'd give birth in the middle of the fight. He'd get punched out of him. Moosey says the bar would bend, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's another thing. So what are we looking at here? As an auto hoaxer, fake until proven real, this is within the realm of fakeability. So it could be that he's trying to psych out Mike, that he's trying to make it look like he's completely out of shape. But I don't know. I've seen other pictures of him where he's got the pregnant belly. He's had this for some time. And I don't know what causes that. I guess I'm using the wrong training routine because I've never developed that. What do you all think about this? Yeah, Discord is open. Let me go ahead and jump in the chat. I believe we have a caller. Okay, yeah, Armin Ree, if you want to jump in the Discord voice chat and just say hello when you're in there. And then phones are also open as well. All right, let's see. We says shameless. Yep, the elite are shameless, and I don't think that anything they do, anything that you've done to get blackmailed for, however bad it is, it's going to be increasingly less of a shock to the public as things progress. Lord Laney says low, but my clones. Yeah, clones is another one of these. I happen to think that the clone theories were purposefully leaked in order to hide skin suits and hyper-realistic masks. P. Tripper said those plates could be the ones for deadlifting. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. They look like foam to me. And the bar didn't bend, and that's not a thick bar. I don't know. I'm questioning it. Yeah, Ready or Not says, pardon my French, but the effing bar isn't bending. Bodysuit looks like it's from Bill and Ted 3, says Matt X. Bach says missing nips. Till says he's worn a fat suit before. Yeah, okay. That's what I'm thinking. He's he's wearing a fat suit. Infinite Plane Radio. Okay, caller or Armin Ree, I see you're in chat. Go ahead and unmute your mic. And we'll make sure that everyone can hear you. Lima Charlie. Severe HGH abuse can cause something similar, but it takes time, says Plain Decoded. Yeah, it makes me kind of wary of his brother's energy drinks. What is it called? Prime? They've sold 1 billion of those things. I haven't touched it, but now I'm even less inclined. So as a backup, if you can't call the regular phone number, we do have the Discord available to you. And all you do is you jump in and you say hello, and we'll hear you here. I think the audio's fine. Hello? Hey, what's up, Armin Reed? You said you had something regarding the color orange.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes. And so let me just preface this. We talked about how Season 1, Episode 12 of The Sopranos, Tony Soprano is shot in the ear, and it shoots through his glass of orange juice. This is a callback to The Godfather, who was shot at, and they miss, and it knocks all kinds of oranges onto the ground. And then when he dies, he has an orange in his mouth. And then Trump, the ear wound connection, Mafia Don connection, a bad Don, he has the orange makeup that sometimes rubs off on the side of Laura Loomer's face. So we have these orange connections So what can you add to that?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that also on Godfather 2, there are several orange references, namely in the beginning when John Aola, which is the henchman of Hyman Roth, another gangster, visits Michael Corleone in Nevada.
Okay.
He brings something in his hand and he asks, "What is that?" And he says, "It's an orange from Miami." So, pointing to Florida, this gangster was based on Florida.
Good connection there. Yeah, the Florida
Also,
connection connects to Trump and Mar-a-Lago, and so the orange and the Florida are definitely connected with Trump. So go on. Good
yeah,
connection.
yeah, and so in other scenes, there's another scene where Michael Corleone is planning to kill Hyman Roth, and he's chewing on an orange. And additionally, in the flashbacks to the young Vito Corleone, played by Robert De Niro, he is when he basically is defined as being a rising mafia don. So he's not yet the great Godfather that you see in the first movie, but he's rising. He is buying an orange from the apparently would be either the same salesperson or related to the same salesperson where he gets shot. And he is offered an orange. So he picks an orange, and the seller offers him an orange, and he says he doesn't forget a favor. So if he needs anything, to go to him. So these are references that I caught from Godfather 2 to add to that.
That's pretty good,
Um,
considering too that Robert De Niro has been, and I had to come up with a term for this because we have actors who portray real world people through predictive programming. And so it's almost like a predictive programming proxy. And De Niro has been a predictive programming proxy for Trump this entire time.
yeah, yeah. So these are related to the Godfather movies. Now, um, what I wanted to add was that I suddenly recalled an exchange I had years ago in a channel by a guy named Tom Carberry. And we had a very interesting exchange of ideas. He since then disappeared and hasn't put out anything for years. But in one of the videos, he mentioned something that I recalled about Orange. As you know, William of Orange comes from the dynasty of Orange Nassau, right? Um, Now, Orange Nassau, the origin of the name Orange there comes from a city or a location in France called Orange. And although there are many etymologies to it, one of the things that Tom Carberry pointed out at the time was that orange is could be a composite word in French, meaning or, which is gold, and ange, which means angel. So gold angel, right? Now, Gold Angel is a depiction of Lucifer as well, right? And this links to JL's idea of the fallen angel, the Lucifer Antichrist kind of thing. And although I disagree with JL personally in the sense that it is a reality that Trump and Elvis are actual antichrists, I think it's a script being read, right?
Yeah,
And
agreed, agreed.
also
That's
then,
kind of my presumption as
yeah.
well, until we find out otherwise. But yeah, he's definitely onto something here, and these are intriguing connections. So yeah, please go on.
And so the importance and the role played in the European history by William of Orange, in not, not just, of course, France, Netherlands, but also particularly England, is of high importance with this compare, or probably is of high importance with this comparison with Trump as well. Um, Given that William of Orange would be, in that sense, William of the Golden Angel, right? William of the Lucifer. So I don't know. I wanted to add to that. These are thoughts that came to me. Maybe they are of some importance.
Well, yeah, there is a lot because there's quite a lot to connect Trump to like Apollo and the symbolism of Apollo. And Apollo is associated with the sun, and the sun is associated with gold. And the orange thing, Isabel Ann had mentioned this that there's the star Betelgeuse is orange. It's a supergiant, a red supergiant, but it has a distinctive orange hue, and that means it's at the end of its life. So the Beetlejuice connection is there. And we mentioned that the shooter, the second shooter, had some connections as well to this Joker archetype that Beetlejuice also represents. And then one other thing with the orange, a lot of people have noticed that Tang was in The Shining, and Tang went up on Apollo 11. You know, the word Tang actually means serpent's tongue. That's the root word. And you look at Trump and how his speech about how he's the snake, and then you have the serpent-like tongue when he put the blood on his cheek. It looked like a serpent's tongue. But anyway, Tang is orange. It's the orange drink.
Right. And so I think that if we look, or at least another angle, to look at the orange thing is in the same way that, for example, the apple is associated with the serpent in the Garden of Eden. In this particular depiction, I think orange has the same effect in the sense that an orange is, the gift of Lucifer for the script. So anyone holding or carrying the orange is basically in league with the fallen angel, the golden angel that fell and
Well, let me connect this.
turned to evil.
I mentioned the shooter and how he laughed like Joker, and like the first shooter, he has Batman connections. First shooter was connected to the Riddler. He looks like the young Riddler, and he's called an Enigma, and the Riddler's name is Enigma. So now we have the second shooter. His hair is yellow and blue, which makes green, a Joker archetype. But then at the same time, Trump is now going to Aurora because of the rumors about Venezuelan gangs stealing the jobs of American gangs. So he's going to Aurora, which happens to be the place where the Batman shooting took place, the Batman movie, but the Joker shooter, James Holmes. And James Holmes's hair was also orange. So we have the Joker shooter orange hair being invoked here as Trump heads to Aurora.
Right, and he was supposedly went insane, right, with the orange. He went insane and went on a shooting spree and all that. So yeah, it could be that the color and the fruit, orange here, is a symbol of the temptation or the actual allegiance to Lucifer. In my opinion, of course, we're talking scripts, not reality, but
You know, there was a
it could be.
Sean Penn movie about gangsters that had a trailer before the Batman movie. And in the trailer, these gangsters come out of the movie screen and shoot everybody in the theater. And then, because of the James Holmes shooting, they changed that movie. Another example of the collision of the world stage, the real world, and the movie world, how they combine these things. And this has been a theme with Joker movies. Like I mentioned, Joker 2 had the mob scene being filmed outside of the courthouse where Trump was, and people thought the mob was there for Trump. But no, it was there for Joker. So here we are, just a couple weeks out from Joker 2 coming out. So there's something going on here. And yeah, this color orange is 100% associated with this assassination narrative, but it goes back. It ties into this Godfather story, and
Of
color.
course,
Yeah, something.
also, sorry, also of note is Kubrick's Clockwork Orange, right?
Oh,
Because that's basically the brainwashing of a criminal to, make him tame through the repetition of images and sounds and so on that he's forced to watch. So that could also be related to the same theme, let's say.
well, it is a. I think it's a fact that Lee Harvey Oswald did not shoot JFK. Stanley Kubrick did. So the fact that you have Clockwork Orange also in the mix here this is very intriguing. And Malcolm McDowell's in it. Yeah, we're following something here. I'm gonna have to look into Clockwork Orange and the symbol of it, but what is going on here? There is something that you've tapped into here. I'm glad that we're talking about this because we pick up the numbers, we pick up the names, the calls, the references to various archetypes, or for example, the Calypso capsule. Calypso's the nymph that keeps Odysseus stranded. So now they are stranded in their space odyssey because of Calypso. But the colors are all also intentionally placed there. So the orange, hugely significant. Just like we broke down the significance of pink quite a lot in the last year. But I'm glad we're finally looking into orange, and good connection here with a Clockwork Orange because it drags Kubrick into it.
Yeah. Well, that was what I wanted to add, and for you guys all to think together about this, if there's any value to it. And well, I'll keep on watching, and also good luck for the I think it's Saturday, right? That you have the conference.
Yeah, Saturday, and I'm finally gonna be able to put some
Yeah.
time into it over the next 3 days, and I'm working on ordering a larger number of copies of the tabloid, which I hope to order in the next 2 days or so. But yeah, appreciate the information here, and anytime anyone else wants to use Discord, just mention it in the chat. And thanks for testing it out for us. Appreciate the information.
Yeah, no problem. Good luck for Saturday. It's a pity I can't be there, but well, I'll watch it after you launch the recording. So
Awesome, thank you. All right, everyone, that is Armin Ree over there in Discord. If you want to know how to get to the Discord server, I made everything easy. Go to ips.monster, and here you have at the top a link to the Auto Hoax Con #1, Infinite Plane Radio.
Hey, dude, this is Jurassic.
Hey, what's up, Jurassic? What's your take on any of tonight's comments?
Oh, you know what? I didn't get the whole show, but I got the last few seconds. You were talking about something about Calypso.
Oh yeah, Calypso. Calypso, the capsule that took the astronauts to the ISS.
Yeah, let me just go ahead. I'm getting an echo. Sorry about that. Speaking of the Calypso, do you know who they used to call the? I mean, because you're pretty younger than. I mean, you're pretty much a lot younger than me. I think. I'm not sure. How old are you? Can you tell us or no?
I don't really get too deep
Oh, you
into.
don't tell. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. I just thought maybe you've said it already. But uh,
Oh, I
so
did say really quick. I did say my birthday is 11/6, the day that Gotham
oh,
goes underwater. But that's all I can say.
oh, cool. All right. Yeah, I didn't even know that. And so in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken, do you know who they used to call the Waterman? Like, who's the most famous person that was involved with water? Do you know who it is?
No, who is that?
It was Jacques Cousteau.
Oh, okay, okay. Jacques Cousteau, the diver, JC, and like James
He,
Cameron, deep sea diver. Right, right.
right. And do you know when that dude? Let me see if I can bring it up real quick. Let's see.
French oceanographer.
When was Jacques Cousteau born?
Jacques Cousteau was born on June 11, 1910.
Did you hear that?
6'11".
Yep. So, and you know what the name of his boat was?
No, what was it?
Calypso.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. Okay, look at this. This
Yeah.
is good. The documentary, The Cousteau Odyssey. So Calypso is from the Odyssey, the book, The Odyssey. Odysseus gets held up on an island by Calypso. So when this thing goes up into space in a Calypso, I'm like, okay, that's a stranded vessel waiting to happen. That's just kind of the subtext. And they've been stranded on their space odyssey. So now we have the Cousteau Odyssey, the Calypso, and 611 tied into this. Very interesting.
Yeah, definitely that's a big connection. Because, the reason I say Waterman is Elvis equals water, Elvis equals reset in gematria. So that's why everything to do with water connects to Elvis. And that's why the Watergate scandal was with Nixon and Elvis. That's the only president Elvis visited. Was the Watergate
Yeah, and
scandal guy.
okay, and the Watergate thing was kind of compared when they raided Trump's Mar-a-Lago. They brought up Watergate and kind of connected it with Trump. It was like the anniversary of Watergate. They had raided his
Yeah.
resort there.
Uh,
But there's something to Watergate. That's right. We were looking at this, and at the time, this TV show Stranger Things was on, and it had this Watergate below a lake, and it was the portal through which the Russians would send their Demogorgon, which I thought was a reference to the Beast from the Sea, or perhaps a submarine with a nuke on it. But yeah, Watergate has had that kind of connection, which does tie into 6/11 and this reoccurring theme, because 11/6, 6/11 has these connotations to Gotham underwater, something from underwater, some kind of the deep sea Challenger, which is the thing that the other JC, James Cameron, was in when he went down to visit the Titanic. So the Jacques Cousteau JC, James Cameron JC, very interesting connections there as well.
Which all goes back to, everything connects to Elvis and the JC because he went as John Carpenter, remember, as his student, not student, whatever they did. But and John Carpenter was born on 116, which is the 6/11 kind of the numbers, same numbers. He married, his first wife was born on 6/11. He's got the JC. He made the Elvis movie, which makes no sense. Why is this guy making an Elvis movie when he's a horror movie person? It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. And this 116 thing, I mean, because the Penguin just came out, and it follows the Batman movie where Gotham's underwater on 116. And for those who don't remember, in 2022 when the movie came out, the GOP slogan was "Flood the Poles." So Gotham underwater, flood the poles. What does that mean? Like the poles is in ocean levels rising, or does it mean something else? But that
It is the water. It's the water gate. It's the portal. That's what the gate is the portal, the gate. And
right.
But anyway, let me just tell you this: if you didn't watch my video about the Rocket Man that I just did recently, because I've done all the Rocket Man connections over years ago, but the newest on my live stream, it has the Rocket Man title. Have you seen what I'm saying? Something that's coming up?
No. Let me. What? Why don't you fill me in? Because I haven't caught your last live stream. I was kind of away from my desk for the last 24 hours.
Yeah. So like 3 days ago or something like that, I said that it's the Rocket Man event could possibly happen. A predictive programming, not something that's gonna change the world. I'm talking about a predictive programming event should happen on 10/5 this coming, in a couple of weeks or less than a couple of weeks.
Okay, I have something here. It says, from Trump's birthday to the date 10/5 is 3 months, 22 days. Okay, I'm going to have to watch this one. You have a lot of good comments, by the way. I recommend your channel also for your commenters who are generally pretty insightful.
But that's not the reason. I just got to tell you the reason. Yeah, just make sure can you do that for me? Like put the link if they want to go there.
Yeah, I just spammed to that specific video because I'm looking at 10/4 as highly significant because Joker 2 comes out, and it seems like that could be a starting point for something. But go on, please.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, 10/5 is a Rocket Man connection, and I'm not going to even explain to you what it is. You got to watch the video. But did you see what happened right after I did the video? Like 2 days later, it came out this morning that Trump's going to be in Butler, Pennsylvania on 10/5.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, Butler, Pennsylvania on 10/5. That's crazy. Because
so
this is big. Well, for those who don't recall this, Butler, Pennsylvania has the BP, which is like 216, and it's 42 miles from the mushroom cloud in Palestine, Ohio. So and it's been pointed out, this is the most crucial 42-mile stretch of land pertaining to this election, and it ties Trump's head wound to what looks like a nuke, which ties into white noise and goes down that rabbit trail. But for the most part, this is highly significant that Trump would be going back on 10/5, and here's the news on that. Very interesting.
Right, and I did the video 2 days before that they announced that. So that's what I'm saying. It's just so unbelievable that he's going back there on 10/5 with, especially if you saw the video and the connections with Trump's birthday and it all connects to each other and the Rocket Man connections. You have to see it to understand the video. And also today, I mean not today, yeah, today on the news there was an Ohio train prop. Did you see that? Again,
No, let me take a look. And so just to be clear here, you called out the significance of 10/5 before Trump announced he's going back to the site of his assassination
right,
attempt. Very
right.
good. Very good call
Hmm.
there. Oh yeah, look at this. Another Ohio derailment story. So this connects those two places. Fascinating.
Yeah, um, and let's not forget that I was talking about Ohio before anybody was talking about Ohio. I've been talking about Ohio for the last 7 years, bro. So just imagine every year that I've been talking about Ohio, and look, now Ohio's in the news. First of all, it was in the news back then too, but nobody was talking about it, you know.
And what they have done, and this is right there, this is in the Washington Examiner, they have connected the head wound to Ohio with the number 42. The most important 42 miles in American politics is between Butler, Pennsylvania, and East Palestine, Ohio. So here you have your Ohio connection with the head wound in mainstream, made with that number 42, which you've also correlated with this entire scenario.
Right. The 6/11 event's going to happen in the 42nd state, Washington. Elvis died at the age of 42. Yeah. Mhm.
Fascinating connections here. And for people who don't know, Palestine, Ohio, the train derailment stood out because one, it looked like a mushroom cloud, but two, it references Palestine before the 10/7 event, and then three, it was preceded by the Netflix White Noise, which is about a blackout and likely a nuke and everything shutting down, just like Leave the World Behind. So this is not insignificant that these two places are being brought up in conjunction, and yeah, it did connect to the head wound specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing how Ohio's in the news every day. I mean, what is, it's beyond ridiculous, man.
Says here, dangerous chemical spill. Wow, yeah, and I happen to think that Ohio has a lot of significance also because of its slogan, the heart of it all. And they've made a point of making this the center of the election's focus. And between like Springfield, Ohio, and this cat thing, all the drama around Ohio. And then Aurora, I just mentioned. Trump's going to Aurora, where you had the Joker shooter, James Holmes. So there's two places he's heading to.
Yeah. This is, yeah, it's, there was another connection. I can't remember. There was something else I was going to bring up. But, yeah, man, I'll call back if I figure it out. I can't remember. If you have a question for me, I'll answer it, but I don't know. I
Yeah, let me
can't think
see
of anything
anybody in
right
the
now.
chat if you have any questions for him. And that was called a toxic airborne event. That's right. I do see some comments in your chat. We're talking about 10/5 and the significance of 10/5. A lot of interesting comments. Someone says, all that predictive programming of the phones and pagers exploding was in the Kingsman movie with Elton John, the Rocket Man. I haven't seen it, but we did have that recent event with phones exploding, which was also in a John Cena movie called Jackpot.
Yeah, this all connects to, yeah, like I said, man, if you have time, you should watch that. But to everybody watching, there was one little mistake I made in that video. It's very little. It's not, doesn't change anything. But you might want to read the comment that I pinned under the video before you watch the video. That way, when that comes up, that one little scene, one little item that I made a mistake on. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay, but the main point though, and I put a link here. Rocket Man event is coming. Uh, is 10/5, and again 10/4 is a big deal because Joker 2 is coming out, and people saw the filming of that movie and thought it was real, and thought the mob was there for Trump. So you have the Joker connection, the mob for Trump, outside the courthouse on 4/4, which is the 55th anniversary of MLK's assassination. So this is pretty thick in terms of
Yeah.
scripting and connections here.
What do you think of Macklemore, that idiot, saying "F America"?
I didn't hear him say
You,
that. No.
yeah, yeah, he said "F America," and he told his audience to chant it. And you know where he was when he did it? In Seattle.
Oh, holy crap. Yep,
And
Seattle in Heinz
he's
Hall.
born in Seattle. I'm sorry, what?
In Heinz Hall in Seattle. F
And he's
America.
born in Seattle. Yeah, and he's born in Seattle.
Interesting.
That's it.
Interesting. Okay, I'm seeing these headlines here. Good catch there. F America. And and Seattle has, you got the Space Needle, but next to it you have it's called the Experience Music Project, which they recently changed, but EMP. You've always had EMP next to the Space Needle, and then there's that sculpture of Chris Cornell, which associates it with the black hole sun, which has some other interesting connections. But yeah, Seattle back in the news
Yeah,
as well with Macklemore.
yeah, let me tell you something. In one of my videos, I showed that in that song "Black Hole Sun," in the they were in concert, and there was a screen behind them where they were showing the black hole sun, and in the middle of the sun, they showed the Space Needle in Seattle. So I don't know what I showed in one of the videos from whenever I showed it. I can't remember what video it is, but I don't know if someone ever saw that in that version of the song. I don't know what version I saw it, but I saw it in one of their concert videos. I can't remember.
Okay, so the song he played was called Heinz Hall. I'm trying to find the name of the venue, but the fact is he's in Seattle saying F America, and then he's saying something about Palestine will live forever. So this is why I think Palestine ties into it, because we mentioned that the 42-mile between Butler and East Palestine, Ohio, Palestine's where you have the toxic airborne event like EMP, fallout, etc., all tied in with white noise. So here we have Palestine brought up in conjunction with Seattle.
Yeah, somebody's mentioning the 10-4. Somebody's mentioning something in the chat about the Julian calendar. I'm about to bring that up today because I'm always talking about that because it's very important how when they change the calendar and because it to fit the timeline for Elvis, okay, and for all the numbers to add up right. And on the Julian calendar, the start. Do you know when the start of the new year was in the Julian calendar? I know what it is, but I'm asking you. Do you know?
No, actually, I don't. No, I don't know.
It's March 25th, and you know who's born March 25th? It's the Rocket Man Day guy. It's Elton John. That's why I'm saying that the Rocket Man event. I haven't shown it yet. I've shown that years ago, but I didn't re-show it. The beginning of the Julian calendar was 325 the date. So um, you get what I'm saying? So now when you see from the first of the year to a certain date, now you have to look from 325 to a certain date. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So guess what 10-5 is from 325? From 325 to 10-5 is 6 months, 11
6
days.
months, 11 days. Wow. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. See?
That's good. I see that from 325, Elton John's
Yeah.
birthday, Rocketman's birthday, to 10-5. Fascinating. And I've been thinking 10-4, Joker 2, you have the beginning of the space age Sputnik, but also October is kind of an, Oct is 8. So you kind of have an 8-4 connection with 10-4. So I was looking at that date kind of suspicious, but this 10-5 connection, these connections that you're bringing up here, all reiterate the same theme. And the fact that you called this date out as significant before Trump says he's going to Butler, Pennsylvania, that just confirms that you're picking up on something. And
yeah, but let's see what the event's going to be. Let's see what they pull on that day. It doesn't even have to be in America. I'm just saying there's some kind of event that's going to come up on that day probably. But again, it doesn't have to happen. I keep telling people when it comes to predictive programming, they don't have to do it.
Yeah, you can never tell.
They only
You can never
choose
tell.
to do it.
Yeah, it seems to me
Yeah.
that they it's like advertising. You have to be hit with an ad so many times before you make a buying decision, and it seems like they preface it, they layer it in, they drill you with it, post hypnotic suggestions, but you never know specifically. But every time every time an 8-4 passes or a 6-11 passes, you've been consistently finding specific references to this future event. And it's not a coincidence that Trump was shot at 6:11 p.m. Like that's how precise this stuff is.
Right, and remember, it's in the East Coast. I mean, 6/11 would also be 9/11 3 hours later. Do you get what I'm saying? If you're referencing East Coast, West Coast, it's all the same. 9/11 is 6/11. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing about this is
Yeah.
that I started looking at 6/11 before a lot of this stuff came up because of Tim McVeigh and the relationship between 6/11 and 9/11 being Osama bin Laden, 9/11 outside terrorist, 6/11 Timothy McVeigh domestic terrorists, and everything that I've been noticing in the scripting here points to whatever's going to happen to America is going to be done at the hands of domestic violent extremists, likely working with Russia, which seems to be the story.
Yeah, time will tell, man. I think we're, I think we've got the script. We just, don't have every detail of it, but pretty much.
Yeah, well, this is pretty big. 10-5 Butler, Pennsylvania. There's no way this doesn't draw a lot of attention. And I don't know if you saw it, but the Beetlejuice movie comes out, and I was connecting Beetlejuice to Joker because he's got the green hair, and he's like this Joker character, and it's Michael Keaton who is Batman in the movie where Joker was Jack Nicholson. But I was bringing this up because this new shooter, his hair is green. Well, it's blue yellow, and he laughs like the Joker when he's arrested. So we're already looking at this Joker situation, and then we have this Aurora trip with the Joker shooter. But there's something with this reoccurring theme here with this
Did
Joker archetype.
did did he win the Oscar for the Joker?
Uh, I wouldn't be
I
surprised.
think he won the Oscar, right? And can I tell you why? The reason I'm bringing that up, if it was, let me just
Okay, Jack Nicholson did get it for
no, not Jack Nicholson. I'm talking about Joaquin Phoenix
Joaquin Phoenix. Let me see that. He probably did, but let me take a look here.
because he's the Joker, right? Joaquin Phoenix.
Yep. Let's see here. And Jack Nicholson in The Shining is also kind of stands out because of his Kubrick connection. And one other point too is in Full Metal Jacket, the character Joker represents JFK, the guy at the target on the left side of his head. So that's another Kubrick connection
The,
here.
man, I'm arthritis. I just, man, um, uh, the
Yeah.
reason I brought that up is Joaquin Phoenix. The first Oscar he won was that Oscar, and he was 45 years old at the time.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yep,
that's another connection there.
yep. Walking Phoenix, his best performance. He got this award for it, and unbelievable, unbelievable. So 10-4, that movie's coming
Yeah.
out. It's gonna be with Lady Gaga. I haven't really looked into this movie very much yet. I'm waiting to see it, but her connection to it also seems interesting. They're bringing this element in, but the main thing was they showed you how the public thought that the movie being filmed outside the Trump courthouse was a mob there for Trump. So this is really strong. This
Get-
collision between these movie narratives and this Trump narrative that's unfolding.
And just one last thing with the Phoenix, because I'm telling everyone that Elvis is the Phoenix, right? He's the Kraken, the Phoenix, the beast out of the sea, the sea goats, and all that other stuff. But here's the thing: the Phoenix connection is big because it's all about the twins. And stupid Joaquin Phoenix, his brother died, right? River, which is water again. River Phoenix was killed in front of the Viper Room, which is the snake reference. And uh, and Johnny Depp owns that at the time. And he was born on the same day as Kobe, and Kobe was known as the Mamba. So it's two snake references,
Right,
with that.
right. River Phoenix, the Viper Room, and so you have the twin connection. And if you look at
Hmm.
the Joker movie poster, they have him walking against the backdrop of a burning car, so it looks like he's on fire. So you have a walking Phoenix, also a Burning Man, and this ties to
And,
Maxwell Azarello, the Burning Man outside of the Trump courthouse on 419.
and, And just real quick, didn't Joaquin Phoenix become famous after River died?
I think so. I think that
No one knew no
who,
one knew who Joaquin Phoenix was before River. River died, then Joaquin Phoenix became famous. So basically, what I'm saying, it's like Elvis. Elvis's twin died at birth, and Elvis becomes famous. And um, and isn't it interesting that Joaquin Phoenix? You know what his father's name is?
no,
His real name. So when a phoenix rises, it's rising from what?
the ashes.
Well, the bottom, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
from the below, right? That's his name. His name is Bottom.
So that has the rising connotation built into it. And
Yeah.
one more thing too, because the symbol of the phoenix has been associated with Christ in symbolism for a long time. But on 4/4/2023, Trump's on trial. He's being arrested. It's the 55th anniversary of MLK's death. Joker 2 is being filmed outside. So Joker 2, and then Joaquin replaces Heath Ledger, who turned 44 on 4/4/2023. And the 4 is a cross, so you have the double cross, which second coming. So Joaquin Phoenix has a lot of second coming built into him, and it ties into his name, obviously Phoenix. But in all of his
Right.
roles, he's consistently has Christ attached to him. Like in 8 millimeter, he's literally crucified on a St. Andrew's cross, and he's shot with a crossbow. Like and throughout the film, they associate him with JC, Jesus Christ. It's common with him. So this is a very interesting actor to look at for this because he's conveying this very specific set of symbols and
Right. You mean
messaging.
like Johnny Cash, like Johnny
Yeah,
Cash,
Johnny Cash. There
basically,
you go.
right?
Another one. Another
Right.
JC. Another
Uh-huh.
JC.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's really good, man. All right, bro. Man, I appreciate you, listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
And I'm putting a link to your video, The Rocket Man, and I'll check that out tonight. So
yeah.
thanks for the update.
Just
And this adds quite a lot.
one last thing. Just make sure that they know that I put that. I know you already said it. I just want them to know. When you watch that video, understand that I made the. I said 10-5 before we knew about the Butler, Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? So it's already a predicted programming date because he's going back there.
Absolutely.
On that
Absolutely.
day. All right, bro. Take
Thanks for the
care.
call. All right. Excellent. And I
Bye
put a
bye.
link below, everyone. So if you click that link, yeah, Jim Carrey, another JC, John Carpenter. You go through it. There's code here. John Connor. John Connor is the savior in the Terminator movie. And T2, T2, if you get the symbolism there, the T in the 2 gives you a 42. It's a Saturn symbol, but the Terminator is the representative of Saturn or Satan, and then John Connor, JC, the savior. And the Terminator line is where the day ends and the night begins, where the sun god dies. So there's a lot of symbolism here with the Terminator and with the JC is what I was mentioning specifically because, of course, John Connor. Elephant Tusk says, is Ridley Scott a metascriptor? Absolutely. If you get to a certain level, it's safe to say that you are a metascriptor. How much in the know, I don't know. But they are given messages or certain symbols to put into the story. So, for example, we're talking about James Cameron, obvious ones there. Francis Ford Coppola, The Godfather, but also Megaopolis. Megaopolis opens with space junk from Russia falling, and the Statue of Liberty looks busted up, and it talks about the end of an empire. And as the movie hits the film festivals, an old Russian satellite in space explodes into 100 pieces, and they have to lock down in the ISS. So you have this Russian satellite connection. As it happens above, it happens in the movie. And his movie Megaopolis was meant to come out before 9/11, but he pulled it because 9/11 happened, and it resembled too much of his script, and he had to change some stuff, and so he waits. And I think now the movie's predicted programming for the next 9/11 event. Okay, here's an image of Ridley Scott doing the all-seeing eye thing, covering one eye. But yes, these are all, if their movies contain stories, narratives, archetypes that move the agenda, the big agenda forward, because what they're doing is they're making history with the movies and the news by combining them. And that's why I'm talking about the Joker Batman stuff so much, because you have real time examples here of the merging of the Batman universe and the real world. Like I say, we live in the Disney universe, Planet Netflix, but we have overlapping fictional universes. And so as they write our history, they're using the fictional universes, like the Batman series, to superimpose themes, narratives, archetypes onto the world stage. Every single Trump appearance in these courthouses has been attended by some Batman Joker connections, from Maxwell's Rello, this Burning Man, to the more recent one with De Niro, with obvious and overt Joker connections. And then, of course, Joker 2 being filmed outside and people thinking it was literally a mob there for Trump. Those are 3 examples. And then the James Holmes, orange hair, the Aurora thing. In this one, they had to change the movie that was the gangster movie, the preview, because it happened right after. I mean, this is, again, just consistent. Batman movie comes out March 4th, 2022, and on that day, the Joker from the Boston bombing, Joker Sarnoff, had his death penalty reinstated. And we're just scratching the surface. 777 says, astrology is quite interesting, but if you get caught up in it, you get too much bias confirmation. Yeah, when it comes to that, you have to be wary of becoming a sharpshooter. And the sharpshooter fallacy is what is used by people who use gematria calculators to predict the sports outcomes, etc. But the reason why they're able to accurately guess things is because they're firing so many shots. And then, when they have 5 shots that are in a close group, they draw the target around it and they say, hey, look, I hit 5 bullseyes. It's like, no, you missed 95 times, but you didn't show us that. And you can find that to be true with a lot of prophecy groups. When people say the world's ending because of Revelation, they're likely cherry picking from a wide array of verses, and you can make anything fit. Poncho Lefty says, East Coast here, got to work tomorrow until next time. Yeah, make sure you're subscribed at ips.monster. You will get the archive sent to you. Armin Reese says, in Terminator, JC sends his father into the world to save his mother and generate him. Think about this. So we had connected Revelation 9:11, which has to do with the abyss or the bottomless pit, the angel of the bottomless pit, Abaddon, which is Trump, a bad Don, Apollyon, and Napoleon has connections to Apollyon and Apollo. Napoleon is played by Joaquin Phoenix, and it just came out. I only watched the first 20 minutes, and they behead Marie Antoinette. And a beheaded Marie Antoinette is there at the opening of the Olympics, when Gojira, which means Godzilla, a nuke reference, is playing their French Revolution song. But this Revelation 9:11, this abyss thing is highly significant. We're talking about Jacques Cousteau, 6:11. Well, JC, James Cameron, was in the abyss. He was at the site of the Titanic on 9/11. So we brought this up, that this is a reference to Revelation 9:11, and he's in this capsule he's in a submersible called the Challenger. So the Challenger that took down the Tower of Babel, the Challenger that takes down the West, the whatever it is that deals the death blow, the iceberg that hits the Titanic, it's all invoked here. But the Revelation 9/11 connection to James Cameron and the sinking of the Twin Towers, the Titanic and the Terminator, and the Terminator is also called, well, the Terminator is also referenced here as the destroyer in the abyss. And remember, Oppenheimer referred to the bomb as the destroyer of worlds. Well, recently I learned that there's a Terminator robot, a new Terminator, called Rev 9. So Rev 9 is a Terminator in Legion in the Dark Fate timeline. So this Rev 9 further confirms that we're reading it correctly, that the Terminator represents the thing in the abyss. Abaddon, Apollyon, the Destroyer, Challenger in the abyss, all these references that overlooks the bottomless pit. Now on 9/11, now remember 9/11 has a bottomless pit, the reflection pool. that the 33-year-old jumped into last year. So we have this connection here to this pit, 9/11, and this angel overlooking it.
New coffee shop sale from Quesselja.
Appreciate the support very much there. That was a shop sale from Ko-Fi. I do have some art for sale there. But I want to point this out. Overlooking Ground Zero. Look at this. Collateral damage and September 11th. On September 11th, overlooking Ground Zero, you had the movie billboard for Collateral Damage. And they had to pull the movie because they had 9/11 predictive programming. But overlooking Ground Zero was Arnold Schwarzenegger's face. And you can find a video of a handheld cam. Someone's recording the towers as you see an explosion at 8:46 a.m. as the plane impacts. And in the shot, they were recording Arnold Schwarzenegger's face. So he's the Terminator. That's when I call him the Terminator, that's one of his defining roles. And it's, T2, he's high on testosterone. James Cameron said testosterone's a toxin. And I think that Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Destroyer, he represents something. And they've brought him in. They brought his visage into 9/11 Ground Zero for a very specific reason. So you have the Destroyer archetype overlooking the abyss. All of this stuff overlaps. Yeah, you just heard Gojira. And thank you, C. Wessel Jr. Appreciate the support there. Isabel Ann says, I can tell you from doing thousands of readings over the 14 years, astrology is very accurate. There's no sharpshooter fallacy or coincidences. No, astrology is very intricate. It's far deeper than the horoscopes would have you think. So when most people use astrology, they're not really using it accurately. You have to remember, Isabel Ann was referring to the position of the star Algol, suggesting, hey, today would be a great day for the headshot thing to happen. That was on July 13th, 10 minutes before Donald Trump was shot. So we already had that in the chat from someone who is versed in astrology that it was about to happen, and then it happened. JP Morgan's accredited with having said that the millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. And one more point, 8:46 a.m. Mercury rising is when 9/11 kicks off. 8:46 a.m. And that number ties into so many other events and psyops, but that I'm pointing out that that's a precise astronomical alignment, and it's because they believe in astrology. They use it. And a few other things we could point out here. None of this stuff is really escapable. You can't avoid it. Even if you just play poker, you got playing cards, you're gambling. With these playing cards, they derive from the tarot, which are all based on astrology and the personification of time, the cycles of time, the luminaries. For example, 4 suits represent the 4 seasons, or the 4 elements in alchemy: fire, water, earth, air. But it's the fire is the clubs, the earth is the pentacles or diamonds, the heart are cups. So when you see hearts reference, it's actually the chalice. And the heart of it, there's a lot of symbolism that we see in everything. The swords, the spades or the swords. But you have 4 suits, 4 seasons. You add up all the pips, you get 365. So the playing cards are also connected to this whole story, the astrotheological story. Plain Dakota says they seem to be doing electional astrology for their psyops. Well, look at the specific tie-ins with all these birth dates where it has to be. These connections, it doesn't mean that they're born on those days. If they're a world stage character, they have some role, they can change their birthdays to fit a predetermined mold. Like Kyle Rittenhouse and Greta Thunberg, same birthday. They're both pulled out of the vat the same day. They're both hatched. On January 3rd, 2003. And they are antipodes. They are the diametrically opposed poster children for each wing, left and right. They're equally annoying to the opposite side. And they're equally inorganic and fake, put in front of our faces. But the fact that they have the same birthday, not a coincidence. I don't know if we brought this up yesterday. Greta's been marching around with the protesters. She's moved on from environmentalism to free Palestine. Oh, and check this out. These are all over Seattle. And look at it. It's called Flood PNW. FloodPNW.com. This was shared by Jay Diggs. It says, save the date. October 13th, 1 p.m. Location to be announced. Revolution until victory. Now, if you look at this poster that's up there, it's pretty ominous looking. Arabic. I don't know what it says, but flood. And again, it's in Seattle. And the Seattle flood thing is key here. I have so many examples I could point to, predictive programming, that make these connections. But when I first started looking at Seattle, it was when the Seattle Kraken released their trailer. The trailer is 1 minute, 13 seconds, and it looked like an EMP. So flood connected to Seattle and revolution until victory. But now I'm looking at this poster, and it looks just like this from Leave the World Behind. These were dropped from a plane or a drone. These were flyers from the movie Leave the World Behind that had a snake and Arabic writing that translates to Death to America. And then Macklemore just said F America, same sentiment, and he's in Seattle. So tying these things together, I think this is interesting as far as October being highlighted here as well. But Seattle, October, flood. And I went to the site Flood PNW just to do a little cursory investigation. And it looks like this is a hub for organizing. And the flood is a reference to 10/7. Says the El Aqsa Flood Month of Action. PNW stands for Palestine and the Palestinian Resistance. Join us and our fighting organizations as we come together to honor the sacrifices of our heroic martyrs. This month there'll be a series of events, teach-ins, marches, mobilization on 10/13 when we come together as a region to take the streets of the Pacific Northwest. So if you're in Seattle, you might see these posters up. Save that date, 10/13. Bach Precision says Death to America, yes. And Leave the World Behind had this scene. These characters are playing Jenga, the tower game, and the tower falls, and then you hear a drone in the background, which recalls 9/11, and then these Death to America flyers are being dropped. First, O'Little says, here's some productive programming. I predict you will try to get ours to give you money. You know, whatever you think about this, there is predictive programming. It's not anomalous. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's standard operating procedure. And what I mean by this is the entertainment media, movies, books, novels, music, video games especially, contain messages and scenes that will be acted out in the fake news later. This is undeniable. You cannot deny the existence of predictive programming. Now, you can deny yourself an understanding of it. You can be ignorant, but no, I'm not asking people for money in that sense. But this is a YouTube channel. This is a live stream. And we do have benefits for people who pay to subscribe. For example, live stream notifications, archives. But no, this isn't like if I was just in this for the grift, I'd be pushing chemtrails and anti-vax. But we're better than that. Plain Dakota says Seattle back in the day had similar Antifa posters everywhere. Yeah, probably the same people behind it. Same art directors. Yeah, predictive programming denialism is ridiculous. It's reality denialism. It's like you're basically telling us, I don't know how news works. I'm confused. You are confused. If you don't know what predictive programming is, by definition, you're confused. Because you have accepted the authority of the screen and you're compartmentalized by design. So when you see something like the day the president gets shot, a movie comes out where Harrison Ford's playing the president, and he gets shot and survives. We point out dozens of these examples. The only thing that you can say at your level of misunderstanding is it's only a coincidence. And good for you if you can come up with an adequate framework for making sense of all these coincidences without leading yourself down into simulation theory, which is where some people go. But you're just going to go the path of what? Sticking your head in the sand, pretending you don't see? I mean, we're doing media analysis here. And if you're doing media analysis and you don't know about PSYOPs and predictive programming and concurrent programming, you're lost and confused. Nothing to brag about. Certainly nothing to mock us about, although you're free to. I don't care. I'm just saying. You're not making us insecure, and we're not looking silly here. You're looking like a dupe. Armin Reese says, does denial of chemtrails make somebody an anti-chemite? I'm surprised I haven't been called that. Savage AF says, I'm in Seattle if you need boots on the ground. Yes. Now, I don't think that they're going to do a real nuke in Seattle. If I did, I would say GTFO. So when I say, yeah, please get a press pass and cover it for us, it's because I'm genuinely not concerned about your safety. Although we did have somebody go to Chazistan. One of our reporters was chased out of Chazistan by a guy with a lead pipe. I think it was a lead pipe or some kind of some metal rod. Luckily, our guy had a bicycle. I mean, we had someone who was living in the same building as one of the leaders of Chazistan. What was that rapper's name? A terrible SoundCloud rapper. I could probably look it up. SoundCloud rapper Chazistan. And this guy had a video of himself, like a music video, where they had, the theme of it was gang raping a girl, like really sick stuff. If anybody remembers, what was the name of the warlord in Chazistan? Oh, Raz Simone. Raz Simone. What a joke. Songwriter from Seattle. Controversies. During the 2020 George Floyd protests in Seattle, he became the self-declared, one of the leaders of the self-declared Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. And they originally called it CHOP. And JL had mentioned before the significance of CHOP. But yeah, they changed it to Chaz. Interestingly, this is where it all, the autonomous zone, this had some interesting connections to the auto zone, which is where the destruction began in the Twin Cities with some guy with a black umbrella. If you remember the black umbrellas in 2020, we'll have to go back and revisit this. 2021, 2 women stepped forward to accuse Simone of coercion, reputed abuse. Yeah, none of this surprises me. Chazistan was a nightmare. I don't think they had enough time to devolve into cannibalism, but it was basically Lord of the Flies. I mean, I was happy to let them try. It's like, let's see what happens if you let the leftists have a little section. Just let them own it and then see what happens. Can they build their sustainable community? And we saw what happened. Now, as crazy as Chazistan was, that is the blueprint for the reboot of civilization. If you remember, one example of predictive programming was Colony on Netflix, season 3, episode 11. And in this, they said that Seattle would be, quote, ground zero for the reboot of civilization. And this was before 3/11, where Seattle was ground zero for the pandemic and the, quote, reset. So reboot, reset, Seattle, it was all there in this series. And in this show, there's a takeover by aliens that you never see, but the government kowtows to them. Well, we never saw the invader in 2020. It was invisible. And the governments definitely hit their knees, and we all had to comply. But this is just one example. So before 3/11/2020, in fact, it was the Sunday before that Wednesday, I said World War III starts in Seattle on Wednesday. Like, we called 3/11 as the next 9/11 event. Now listen to this. I'm going through the outline of it. I'll have to go back because there's somebody named Harris in this, and there may be some deeper significance. And there's something called Project Phoenix. And it's one of these things, alien war in the future, but it also includes the idea that in the future we've already destroyed the world with climate change. Daniel Moore says, I prefer to call it atmospheric injections. Hey, I got a question for chemtrail believers. Why are chemtrails white? What's your best answer? Mango says, you ever talk to anybody that's participated in a PSYOP? Everybody that is like an NPC going along with the program is technically a crisis actor and a participant. But have I ever communicated directly with somebody a part of one? It's a very good question. I'll have to think on that. Very interesting. It's like that show Utopia. It's almost like they're on Crisis Actor Island somewhere. So anybody have any idea as to why chemtrails are white? Anyone? Just asking questions. Just asking questions. All right, let's move on. Lots of good information from JL. If you want to call in, it's 505-510-4226. If you're in the mood for a rom-com and you're bored from watching Behind the Curve on repeat, if you want a better rom-com than that, 5 Feet Apart. If anyone wants to do some research, I kind of want to do some research on this as well. 5 Feet Apart came out in 2019, and it's about two people with cystic fibrosis. And because they're immunocompromised, they have to stay, look, because of their compromised immune systems, they should get no closer than 6 feet apart. So they're socially distanced. The whole movie's about how they're socially distanced, and he's kind of a rule breaker, like a mask refusenik. He doesn't want to obey the 6 feet of separation. But this came out in 2019, a rom-com about having to stay 6 feet apart from somebody that you're falling in love with. How many people lived this in 2020? Lean Dion said the whole world during COVID. Yeah, there's a world of crisis actors. And like, you're going to be an actor whether you want to or not, and we're going to pay you $1,200, a little stimmy check. I'm going to buy your compliance. I'm like, cool, at least you're paying for some of my costuming, the masks. Plain says, chemtrails are white because they cut it with sugar and baby powder. Interesting take. Have any 9/11 truthers posited the theory that maybe the towers melted because chemtrail juice? Like maybe jet fuel can't melt steel beams, but who's to say that whatever goes into the chemtrails isn't capable of melting steel? My Third Eye says, what's the significance of Black Umbrella? The Umbrella Man is part of the JFK assassination myth. Well, the Black Umbrella had some connections to Antifa and something else. I know that there's the Umbrella Corporation in that. What's it? Oh, that's right. Okay. Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil. And this logo was seen in conjunction with, I think they had something called Raccoon City. Yeah, there was something here with Wuhan, and we're connecting this back then. Umbrella Corporation, and then you had the connection with Wuhan. If you haven't seen Resident Evil, I think there's a character named Ellis, and it has this underground base. But look here, Umbrella Corporation's logo is right there outside of Ground Zero for the bat soup-borne pathogen that shut the world down. The Umbrella Corporation was a multinational conglomerate with subsidiaries active in a variety of industries from the 80s to the 2000s. And this all ties into the Resident Evil fictional universe. Armin Ree says, chemtrails are white because of their privilege. I think it'd be the other way around. The reason they're white is it's basically snow. You're looking at ice. I get these incredulous chemtrail people who are like, there's no way there's that much ice in the sky. Ice, it's like, no, it's basically snow. Rarefied air, thin air, moisture from the jet exhaust mixing with the hot air, the moisture. It's all easy to explain, but I'm so glad that we've purged a lot of the chemtrail advocates because people want to believe stuff. They so badly want to believe. And it's because chemtrails give you the only visible evidence that you're being oppressed by the Illuminati because you can point to it. Infinite Plane Radio.
Dude, I had to call back because that's what I forgot to mention. It's a big connection. So what day do I've been telling everyone that August 4th is when Trump gets his head wound, right?
Right.
And August 4th is the 217th day of the year. And August 5th is the 217th day of the year. So that's why anything that connects to 84 is going to connect to 85, 8485, 8485, right? And this is what I was going to mention. Besides the fact that the Rocket Man, that 325 connection that I was talking about, is the 84th, 85th day of the year. But forget about that. The day Trump got his head wound in Butler, Pennsylvania, his ear scratch that day, and now he's going to be in Butler, Pennsylvania again on 10/5, which is the Rocket Man date that I'm talking about. It's 84, 85 days from that day he got his ear clipped.
Oh, that's wild. Okay. Even
Yeah.
stronger of a connection. So you have the 611 connection with Rocket Man, and then you have the 84, 85 day connection with the previous wound.
Exactly, because from 325, it's from 325 to 10/5 is 6 months, 11 days, and 325 is the 84th, 85th day of the year.
Okay, I see it. It's practically set in stone. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is a date to watch, and I'm already planning on monitoring the stream and being here on 10/4 because it's just too good of a date for something. But 10/5, 10/4, 10/5, obviously a lot
10/4
pointing to
can
it.
work too, because 10/4 in the UK would be 10/5.
Right.
I mean, 10/4 for us would be 10/5 in the UK. So 10/4, 10/5 could still work for you if you want the 10/4 connection. I'm saying it could still work for both.
Yeah, it all aligns nicely, especially when you look at Oct, and that makes another 8, so it kind of has that other layer to it.
But right, and the fact that I'm just saying the fact that that Trump's going to be there without and I had mentioned it beforehand. That's what makes it so important is the fact that it's already there, the predictive programming.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thanks,
All right,
thanks,
bro.
yeah, thanks for calling back,
Take
and
care.
thanks for adding that bit there. Raccoon City, that was a thing. It's where Barry and Wesker live. Barry was my first friend in Resident Evil on the PlayStation. Okay, raccoon is also an anagram for Corona. And then I remember at the time people had mentioned that there's something about raccoons and hand washing. If you remember, the whole thing was about washing your hands. Do raccoons wash their hands? What is the deal with that? They're famous for their tendency to wash their food, and you do see them often seeming to wash their hands. But yeah, raccoon and Corona had some connection. We were looking at Resident Evil connections. And these connections are there, but we're just getting back to the umbrella thing. Savage says the red and white cross logo is also on the Pope. Right. And the second shooter, Ryan Routh, who was just charged today, he had a white shirt with a red X on it, a red cross. Greetings, Stubby and Fuzzy Frankenbeans. Thank you for joining. Phones are open again, 505-510-4226. Anybody surprised here? Telegram is now going to provide users IP addresses and phone numbers. This is according to Bloomberg. Responding to valid legal requests. That's interesting. Like DMCA, copyright, or perhaps other stuff. So if you thought you were anonymous on Telegram, you were a fool from day one. If you think you're anonymous, you're not. If you think you're off the grid, you're pretty much not, unless you're a media skeptic, because it's a mental exodus apostasy. You have to step out of the box to even be considered off the grid. But the idea that you could be anonymous in 2024 is laughable. It's risible. What a joke. I mean, anonymous, like the anonymous hacker groups, they act like they're anonymous, but none of these people are really hidden from anyone when it comes down to it. QAnon, the Q dropper, one of the main Q droppers, was doxxed by, oh yeah, that's right, us. And he was doxxed, he was found out because of his family. Other people who've tried to remain anonymous, we've figured out who they were because of their pets. You post pictures of your pets, you have social media. Nobody's anonymous. But anyway, Telegram users no longer can pretend to be anonymous. Let me play this. This is going around the circles here. This is suggesting, this is coming from Juanita Broderick posted this, but this is from Tim Pool. And he certainly wasn't paid $100,000 a week to say this. This is Tim Pool saying that if Trump wins, the left, the Democrats, are going to declare, quote, civil war conditions. So Juanita says, buy more guns and ammo. I say buy more popcorn.
Donald Trump wins, they will move to disqualify him through Congress, invoke civil war conditions, and tell the Trump hordes that Donald Trump is disqualified and not allowed to be president.
So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then
this is pretty bad here, but this ties into civil war. So civil war is about Trump getting killed by Kamala. The president is in the White House. It's basically Trump, and they send in a kill squad from the other side. And they insist that the shooter be a black woman. So it's pretty ham-fisted. They kill Trump, but Trump is in office. So this actually lines up with the Civil War story. The idea that Trump gets in office, but he's considered disqualified by the other side.
That he's disqualified, and then we need bodyguards for everybody in civil war conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that back to life, even as we're continuing to amend the Constitution, as Professor Hassan has invited us to do.
Now, this is a wild thing to say. This is exactly the scenario that JL brought up about a month ago when I was suggesting that Kamala's going to win, based on predictive programming. You know, we mentioned Fallout, where it has the Trump figurine with the red blood on the side of the head, and Betty Pearson steals the election. BP, Butler, Pennsylvania, B2, P16, 216. All these little clues add up. And the idea that Trump would get in and then it would be delegitimized, yeah, that also comports with everything here. Breaker says they will unleash the illegals on us before that. Well, there's a lot of paranoia going around. So, for example, Stu Peters shared a video and he claimed it was a Haitian militia. Here we go. Haitian militia forming in Ohio. They said we imported the third world. Now, this guy, Alpha Fox, has 619,000 followers. 619,000. He shares a video. Haitians have formed a militia in Ohio because we imported the third world. Now, this has been shared endlessly by alt-right influencers, alternative media, far right, and they're all sharing it. Look, these Haitians have formed a militia. They're coming for your cats. Well, it turns out that this is Israel United in Christ Incorporated. It's not a Haitian militia. Here you go.
We get stuff done. We get stuff done. And now let this world.
I'm just pointing this out because it's shameless that Alpha Fox, with more than 500,000 followers, spreads this falsehood. It gets viewed nearly 1 million times, and he doesn't delete it once it's been revealed that this is actually, in fact, not Haitians. Truthers are by and large liars, and they get incentivized to lie because you get paid on X. So they don't even care. They're just as bad as their mainstream counterparts. I had an interesting comment in here a minute ago. Here it is, Matt X. Have you heard of a novel called The Parables of Talents from 1998? It predicted a president that had a MAGA slogan, and the author's last name is Butler. Parable of the Talents, science fiction from the writer Octavia Butler, published in 1998. Never heard of it, but we're talking about predictive programming, and books are a huge part of it as well. Okay, this came out in 88. The novel is set against the backdrop of a dystopian United States under the grip of a Christian fundamentalist denomination led by President Andrew Steele Jarrett. They use the slogan, "Make America Great Again," and embark on a crusade to cleanse America of non-Christian faiths. Fascinating. Very interesting. You got MAGA, you got Christian nationalists, or Christian fundamentalism. Again, it's called Parable of the Talents. I may go through it. And of course, Butler. Good connection there. There may be more to it. Looks like it has witch burnings in here. And, recently Tucker Carlson said that we're importing 5% of a country that practices witchcraft. And he was talking about Haiti. So they're really laying into this satanic panic thing, trying to get people thinking in terms of good and evil. In absolute terms, aliens are evil. You have witches coming in. Walter Walking says, do you guys remember in the Civil War, they used to make people stand in straight lines and march towards each other? Little kids could have gotten kills in the battlefield. What's that? Was it the publisher Hearst, Randolph Hearst, who I think he had hired JFK at one point. Hearst had said, you supply the pictures and I'll supply the war. And we're talking ultimately here about the faking of history and how they write the history in advance. You furnish the pictures, I'll furnish the war. William Randolph Hearst. His journalistic credo reflected Abraham Lincoln's wisdom. Let me see what that says about Lincoln. I was going to bring this up because we're talking about the Civil War and how all we know of history is what we've been told. And they tell stories based on the pictures they're given. And a lot of the times, that's all it takes. We're looking at the power of rumors and pictures and video clips where millions of MAGAs, millions of QAnons think that the Hells Angels are driving across the country to fight Venezuelan gangs who have taken over apartments in Aurora. They believe that based on rumors, based on pictures. Okay, here we go. It says, William Randolph's credo reflected Lincoln's wisdom applied to the 1897 cable. You furnish the pictures, I'll furnish the war. What we're talking about here, though, is that the public doesn't need a lot of evidence to believe anything. So I find history even more dubious. So are we going to believe the official stories of the Civil War, the body counts, and everything? I'm very skeptical about it. I don't know at what point everything started to be filtered through the same PSYOP entertainment complex, but I'm not convinced that it's a new thing. Nicotrama says, if I think Trump could win, then the left sends a squad to the White House to fake take him out, then Kamala orders guns confiscated, and the right will still sit down and do nothing. Oh, they'll still be trusting the plan. They'll be praying to votive candles with JFK Jr.'s face. They'll do anything but get off their seats. You know, they're just going to sit there doom scrolling and retweeting with too many emojis. Salty says history is hearsay. Exactly. Absolutely. Armin Reese says, I'll be listening but not reading the chat, so my pre-farewell. And as always, I see any notable comments, I do try to highlight them. Getting back to the notes. And by the way, today's the 24th. The 28th is the AutoHoaxCon #1. And the purpose for AutoHoaxCon is to do the first convention that's not a conspiracy theory convention, but it's a convention specifically for this perspective. It's to showcase any content creators and the main ideas behind what we're doing here. Because what we're doing here is not conspiracy theory. We're not regurgitating already regurgitated headlines, which is alt media is just bouncing off mainstream. But we go much deeper. And we have a far more comprehensive understanding of what we're looking at. And we're not hindered by adherence to any logically fallacious arguments that you have to trust the screen and bounce off that. I mean, I get this feedback from a lot of people who believe in false flag theory. If you still believe in false flag theory, I don't know what to say. It's like 2002 called, they want their conspiracy theory back. That's old InfoWars claptrap. And speaking of InfoWars, I think they just got an order to seize the intellectual property. And don't think Alex Jones is a victim in this. Alex Jones is the biggest Sandy Hooker of all. But the people who say that there's a false flag, that it's a real, but it's a second shooter, they minimize the fakery. They minimize predictive programming. Anybody minimizing the significance of predictive programming doesn't get it, and their views can be dismissed. Judge approves auctions liquidating Alex Jones's InfoWar, $1.5 billion. They should have done 1.6. It would have been poetic. Like Dominion getting 1.6 billion out of Fox, because January 6th, 1/6, Alex Jones was motivated by Waco. ATF rated them over 1.6 million rounds. Alex Jones went on Piers Morgan and said, 1776 will commence again if you try to take the guns. And he said this because the DHS purchased 1.6 billion hollow point rounds. So 1/6 has been used repeatedly over decades now, all leading to January 6th. So why they stopped it at 1.5 billion, I don't know. They should have gone 1/6. Alex Jones likely to be shut down in months. This is from NPR. Going once, going twice, Alex Jones's cameras, mics, InfoWars show, and vitamin site. Conspiracy theorists, Alex Jones's InfoWars show is likely to be shut down after a federal bankruptcy judge ruled Tuesday that they plan to sell off the assets of Jones media company Free Speech Systems. They called this decision a significant step forward. Now, I've been talking about the controlled demolition of the far right, and it is ongoing. Again, Jones is on the same team as the Sandy Hookers. Like, he's one of them. Remember, we laugh at the crisis actors like Gene Rosen and their performances, but Jones is one of them. This is performance. This is a performance art. This is performative censorship. It's not real. If he was legitimate, he would have used the folder given to him by James Fetzer. There was plenty there to undermine the claims made against him, and of course, he just took it. Dwayne Obit said, InfoWars is fear-mongering nonsense, but Jones is hilarious. Oh yeah, look, I think CNN is hilarious. I watch CNN. I watch it with my grandma. I watch CNN because it's funny to me, it's entertaining, but I don't believe it. But I admire the performances. Jones is funny at times. A lot of these people are funny, and that doesn't take away from their performance. Like, we're also film critics. We do admire good performances, but yeah, he is not a source for valid information about objective reality or seeing through things. And not at all. But listen to this. This is where I diverge from Trutherville. Because if you take the red pill, you are suddenly going to be dragged into a nightmarish universe that's very different from the one that we live in right now. So here's an example. Here's what David Icke said. And this is what he believes. This is the world he lives in. This is his frame, his model. The world is being manipulated by non-human forces working through the secret society networks called the global cult. Satanic sacrifice rituals are done to these non-human entities as the ancients did. What ridicule and abuse I've taken for saying so since the 90s. So he lives in a world where tens of thousands of children are satanically sacrificed every day, and nobody believes him. I mean, that's a nightmare. Imagine believing that to be true, and you can't convince anybody because they laugh at you. Now, I don't know if he really believes this. I tend to think not. I think he knows it's a fiction that he's superimposing, but it's an alternative worldview. But if being a truther means that you have to be afraid of non-human entities, I don't know if I want any part of it. Run by non-human beings. And also, why are you giving an alibi to the perpetrators? You're giving them an alibi. Like, we could catch all the bad guys, but it's actually the non-human interdimensional reptilians. Imagine if they said the same thing about other crimes other than just human sacrifice and corrupt government officials. Like, what if instead they said, well, computer hacking couldn't be done by humans. It's got to be done by interdimensional reptilians. Our computers are being manipulated by non-human entities. Well, then what do? You can't prosecute. It's not like you can catch one of the criminals. I'm pointing out here that anybody ascribing non-human entities to what we're experiencing is giving an alibi to the humans who are behind it. All right, let's see. Elon Musk will take anyone to Mars, but not if Kamala Harris wins. He says, quote, "We will never reach Mars if Kamala wins." We will never reach Mars. And you may not take Elon Musk seriously, but a lot of people do. Matt Walsh says he'll believe the moon landing was fake if Elon Musk says so. My third eye says, well, Ike is right, probably that it's a cult. Well, he's inaccurate. It would be wrong to call it satanic. Anyone using the word satanic doesn't know what they're talking about, because the religious framework that they operate within has a lot of syncretism, but ultimately it's based on what you'd consider maybe pantheistic, but most of their emphasis is on the sun. Like, you would actually say that in a sense they're Christian, not Satanists, but they have a different concept of Christ, and it's synonymous with the phoenix. I mean, look at how many movies where these characters portray Christ, but in a different light. Like, not like the way Christians think of him, but this motif, this repeated image, the dying, the resurrecting, the phoenix stuff, that is their principal deity. And Aleister Crowley wasn't praying to Satan. They had the Gnostic Catholic Mass. They performed a Catholic Mass. But instead of bread and wine, they substituted, and I'm sorry for saying this, but it's true, male and female bodily secretions. That is the Gnostic Catholic Mass. And this all makes sense if you watch the Super Bowl halftime show. There's a reason why I call it the Super Mystery Babylon fertility rite, because the goddess representative is always in red and the god is in white. Blood, the red and the white, it's pretty easy to think about what that means. And Alicia Keys in red, Usher in white. Wearing what? Usher in white at the Super Bowl had a phoenix on his shirt made of diamonds and rubies. This is the image of it. So Usher's in white. He's got a phoenix. He's dancing with Alicia Keys. She's in red. The year before is Rihanna in red, surrounded by male dancers in white. And then connected to this, I mention Kendrick Lamar as a black Christ dressed in white doing Heart Part 5. And heart is the chalice symbol representing the goddess. So if you look at Kendrick Lamar, Heart Part 5, he's in white, crown of thorns, and he has dancers, female dancers in red, smearing him in blood. So again, same symbolism, but he's performing at the next Super Bowl. So we're going to have another Super Bowl with the red and white God-goddess symbolism. And this all ties into the Gnostic Catholic Mass, because if you are going to ascribe a religious faith to the power elite, it's Thelema. It's the Order Templar Orientis. It's the OTO. It is definitely a more, what would you call that? A more pagan Catholic thing, but it's definitely not, quote, Satanists. Satanism as a religion never really even existed until recently. And even it, if you look at the religion of Satanism as codified by the Church of Satan, it borrowed from Kabbalistic, it borrowed from Thelema, OT. It was basically an amalgamation of a lot of different systems. But I read through these books. I've been studying this ritual magic since last equinox. Actually, last year, around this time, there was this pagan event where I saw these people in a big circle around a park, and I went in and I met a lot of them, and I didn't realize there were so many covens around here. And I've got a bunch of books. And so even the satanic ritual is the same as all the other New Age stuff. They just changed the names of angels to demons. But it's all based on a template. And the same template ultimately is the worship of more or less the sun god, Christ, but in conjunction with the goddess. So instead of like the Holy Ghost, they actually replace it with Isis. So it's like Isis, Osiris, Apophis. It's another form of Trinity. And you remember they said that the Paris Olympics mocked Christianity? And a lot of Christians were like, they're mocking us at the Paris Olympics. It's a mockery of the Last Supper. It wasn't the Last Supper mockery. It was Dionysus. The Paris Last Supper mocks Jesus. That's what a lot of people were saying. But you could argue that the Last Supper was maybe even a mockery of the wine god Dionysus. Here we go. Olympic officials say the scene was a nod to Dionysus, despite outcry from Christians that it mocked the Last Supper. Well, how is this? Syncretism. That's how. You could say it's even both. But who did it first? Who wore it best? Crown of Thorns. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Salty Siren says Usher in white Christ, aka Trump, red MAGA Babylon. Yeah, the scarlet hat. This is all connected as well. The scarlet MAGA hat, MAGA means witch, but it means make America great again. And then you have the Revelation 17, where it talks about Babylon the fallen. So if you replace America with Babylon, it's make Babylon great again. And why? Because America has fallen. Babylon has fallen. And it describes how she has this written across her brow. Babylon the fallen, MAGA, America the fallen, across the brow, in scarlet. So you could find horror of Babylon stuff all attached to Trump as well. She was described as a sorceress, pharmaceuticals, getting the world drunk on her pharmaceuticals or something about her vials or something. And I think that also ties into the pokey. Okay, moving on here. We talked about P. Diddy a little bit. Big Nothing Burger. We'll see where that leads. Also want to point out again, if you go to ips.monster, all the links are there. You can get in Discord. We're going to be in Discord all week as we lead up to Saturday, as I'm setting up for AutoHoaxCon #1. And it's going to start off small. I'm using the office here, Zoom conference. I do have a cinematographer locally who's going to record it as part of an ongoing documentary we're making called The Auto Hoaxer. But we're kicking off AutoHoaxCon #1. It's not going to be an annual thing. That's too long to wait. We will do these as often as I possibly can, quarterly, monthly, depending on what I can do. But this is just going to set the stage, and we have to establish what it is, what the parallel media is, what media skeptics are really about, and how we're not conspiracy theorists. Jay Nelson says Stormy Daniels' tattoo of the Whore of Babylon. Oh, that's interesting. You know, here's another connection, because she's a porn star, Stormy Daniels, and if you recall, The Storm Is Coming was from the QAnon drop number 55. So Q drop 55 had a reference to the storm. And on the 55th anniversary of the MLK assassination, Trump gets arrested. Here we go. Let's see if I can find the exact one. But the Stormy Daniels, the name Storm, and the Stormy Daniels narrative came out alongside the Trump arrest, and all of it's concerted. This is all concerted messaging. There are no coincidences on the world stage. It's pretty much axiomatic to say. And then, of course, Daniel, you do get all the Revelation stuff. The link to Discord, to go to ips.monster. This is what I was going to point out earlier. At the very top, I'm putting the watercolor paintings that are available. I am raising money to increase the number of copies of the tablet I can order by selling these watercolors of AI-generated cyborg penguins. I'm also doing chess piece penguins. I haven't perfected it yet, but I've made a few attempts. So these most recently available paintings are listed at the top. Below that, tickets for AutoHoaxCon, which is a Zoom conference. And then I have links there to the Discord server, Gilded, and then more recently I added the IPS gift shop, and this is for apparel, IPS swag. I just started this today, brand new. So you can get an Auto Hoaxer, Auto Believer travel mug, windbreaker, hoodie, and t-shirt. Auto Hoaxer, Auto Believer is a design created by Mick Media. They did a hit piece on me. They interviewed me. They did a hit piece. They psychoanalyzed me. They said that I'm anti-authoritarian and that I'm in denial of how bad the world is. So I make up stories so I have to cope and somehow imagine that nobody dies, which is just not true. In fact, the psychoanalyst, the psychologist who talked about me on this Mick Media segment is the sister of somebody who works for NASA, works on the Hubble. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. But, in fact, this is so messed up. But anyway, they were describing what I had said about how you have two groups of people, broadly speaking, when it comes to news consumers. You have the auto believers and the auto hoaxers. And they put this design up on the screen, and this is the one I put on all the products. The auto believer is inside the TV. They're in the box. They automatically believe whatever is there. So they're on the wrong side of the screen. Looks like they're in a microwave. The auto hoaxer, they put an eye in a triangle, which is kind of interesting because I do say that we are more or less like we're sort of like, the Illuminati, the programmers at the top of the thing. They know, and everyone beneath them is in a world of belief and ignorance. And by rejecting belief and becoming knowers and informed non-believers and agnostics, we're in the know. So in a way, I originally said the IPS is a new Illuminati in the sense that we're kind of occupying that same area but outside this control. So it's kind of interesting that they chose that. But they play dirty. They're mainstream media. Mick Media did this thing where if you search for the news, Tim Osman, look what shows up at the top. This is proof right here that I am a targeted individual. You search Tim Osman, hit news, look what comes up on top. Police, man admits to smoking methamphetamine, screams about lizard people. Now you click on it, and yeah, there's an article about a man snorting meth, screaming about lizard people while he's being arrested. That's all well and good. I have no problem with that. But then you click play on the video, and there's me.
Reaction, fake. Las Vegas, I know it was fake. What I'm finding is that many of these events are staffed with online paid shills, trolls, agents, whatever you want to call them, whose job it is.
So in other words, you search Tim Osman, click news, first article calls me a meth head screaming about lizard people.
To maintain the integrity of the official narrative.
This is Tim Osman, a conspiracy theorist. I originally found Tim on a Flat Earth forum, but his beliefs extend beyond that.
Dinosaurs, nukes, asteroids, spinning ball Earth, mainstream media narratives. Sorry, it's all got to be questioned.
Including, apparently, terrorist attacks.
It's probably a corporate PR stunt. I had 5 YouTube channels shut down for even talking about it.
I asked him about the recent terrorist attack in New York City. I said, what if I told you that
I'm telling you, this is an obscure article from 2017. They are gaming the system, screwing with search results. The number one thing that shows up with my name, I have more than 1,000, I'm sure, podcasts recorded since 2017, and this shows up number one. So they love me, apparently.
I was there and I saw it.
It's still hearsay, but my initial reaction, fake.
There are great concerns about terrorism.
Okay, this is Gail Saltz, MD, clinical associate professor of psychology at the New York Presbyterian Hospital. And she happens to be related to she's the sister of someone who works at the Hubble telescope. And here she is talking about me. Now, she didn't talk to me, but she analyzed the interview and said, this is what's wrong with him.
And there are great concerns about political instability. And those are the kinds of things that drive conspiracy theory.
I sat down with Dr. Gail Saltz to ask about the mainstreaming of conspiracy theories.
Fake news is just the latest iteration of conspiracy theory.
How do you think that people should view a conspiracy theorist like this?
When you break down who is that, who are these people, they're mostly anti-authoritarian.
I'm anti-authoritarian. Oh no. Who here is pro-authoritarian? He's like, he doesn't like tyrants. He's against authoritarian regimes. He thinks 1984 is a bad idea. Well, yeah, absolutely. Guilty as charged. I'm anti-authoritarian. It took a psychiatrist to come up with this. Steve Green says, why do they do predictive programming? What's the purpose if not to prime people? That is the purpose. How many people have come in contact with a piece of media for them to be influenced? See, that's a question for marketing. Remember, the founder and first CEO of Netflix is a relative, blood relative, great nephew of Edward Bernays, the father of PR and perception management, marketing, and Sigmund Freud. So they know what goes on beneath the hood. And they know that if you're exposed to an idea a certain number of times, you're more likely to agree with it. So what they're doing is they're doing targeted advertising for future fake news in the form of entertainment. And the result of it is this: entertainment entrains your mind, the collective psyche, the programmed, to future fake news, which then becomes our history. So that's the purpose of predictive programming. It's propaganda and marketing combined.
People, they go against authority figures. They're often insecure people.
Oh, they're insecure and they have low self-esteem.
Often have lower self-esteem.
If you take the stories as presented by ABC, CNN, NBC at face value and assume what they're telling you is true, then yes, you're essentially a spokesmouth for power.
Yeah, this was a question she had asked me. I'm media. Am I part of this conspiracy? And I said, well, yeah, if you're just repeating them, you're a spokesmouth for power. See, that's why I think they did this. They didn't like what I said.
Thanks to the internet, Tim can immediately go online and search, New York terrorist attack hoax. There will be videos of people explaining why it's a hoax.
It is a scary time, and scary times are when most conspiracy theory really comes to the fore.
The most dangerous people on the planet right now are auto-believers.
So I said the most dangerous people are auto-believers because they go with everything. And 2020 showed us that indeed the auto-believers are the problem. But this is the piece where they came up with the graphic auto-hoaxer, auto-believer, which I put on the swag.
The ones who automatically believe whatever they're told are frightened accordingly and react accordingly.
So according to Tim, there's a spectrum, essentially, and on one side there's the auto-hoaxers, and on the other side there's an auto-believer.
I think it's safe to be an auto-hoaxer. It's safe to say it's probably fake.
Auto-hoaxers basically automatically assume anything big and scary and bad that happens, according to the government and according to the media, is a hoax and it's fake.
There are more people out there who believe conspiracy theory than you might imagine. So you want to be careful about sort of saying, wow, that's crazy, that's so crazy. This is
Now, what kind of clinical psychologist uses the adjective crazy? It's not a clinical term, it's ad hominem. It's not fair to people with organic mental disorders or people who have any kind of psychological issues to use the word crazy. It's dismissive and ignorant. And it's really not a word that should be in her lexicon. But she's basically indirectly, passive aggressively calling me crazy. But my favorite part in this piece here is the theme song at the end. It's ominous. Take a listen.
Not as small a number as people suspect.
People have a hard time accepting that the government and the media and law enforcement and the DHS are all colluding. This is sedition at the highest level, and it involves all of us, and we're either working for it or against it, but most people who are working for it don't even know it.
Three minutes and 22-second ominous piece. I couldn't find this video for a long time because they deleted it from Wikimedia. But it showed up again because I was doing a search. I searched my name and I hit news and I'm like, oh, that's nice. I've admitted to smoking methamphetamine, screaming about lizard people. Like, this is intentional. This is sabotage. Here's another article that has, this is from the Daily Beast. This is another interesting quote about us, the IPS. And I like this quote as well. I mean, these are supposed to be hit pieces, but they're actually pretty good. So this one here says, and this is talking about our Discord server, Flat Earth is weird, but this is weird. This is shitposting into oblivion. This is the information equivalent of clear-cutting a forest. The information equivalent of clear-cutting a forest. Well, every tree in the forest is fake. So yes, we are indeed clear-cutting the forest, while truthers are running laps around the trees that are told to them are fake. So we're taking a chainsaw to this thing. In fact, a lot of the graphics that you'll see feature penguins with chainsaws, and that's a reference to the clear-cutting of the forest of misinformation. Very alarming piece there, though. I'm actually kind of scared of myself right now. Psyopsical says this video will stand the test of time. Auto hoax or GTFO. Elephant says she's not a psychologist. She plays what's on TV. Right. Yeah, well, that was a hit piece, and I turned the hit piece into products. But, you know, at least she listened to me. You know, we had a 45-minute talk. It was a setup. I think it was meant to make me look crazy. They tried their best, but I was on my best behavior. But you can see how early on, very early on, in 2017, they were already aiming for us. They were already seeking to undermine what we were doing. So if you want the auto hoaxer, auto believer, media hit piece design on a hoodie, just go to ips.monster. We are going to be live tomorrow morning, IPS morning deprogram. We are going to be in Discord. I'm going to be very online for the next few days. Yeah, I'm surprised that song hasn't showed up on TikTok. You know, they should put that on every TikTok conspiracy video. That should be the background track. But yeah, Saturday's a big deal. We have to establish what we are, what auto hoaxing means, what it doesn't mean, and how we're different from the legions, the multitudes of gullible truthers who believe anything that they see on X. Okay, now let's take a quick break to watch the fantastic Chinese space station. Here's a short clip.
最美后拍，对，还有合影哈。谁的影子在翻版上呢？谁的影子在翻版上？这应该是谁的？
See what I mean when I say it looks like they order their the Chinese order their space station from Wish? I've noticed that the graphics of the other space agencies are terrible. And China's space station, their space agency, they're the worst when it comes to special effects. And I'm wondering if it's because it's harder to criticize their propaganda. Maybe it's just a different government. I mean, we have free speech here. You know, we can make fun of this stuff and they can't do anything to us. They can't steal our organs. But it seems like they don't have to try as hard. But Americans, we're hard to please as an audience. Smarty Pants says, how do I get my wrench back? I'll give it back. I'll go through the comments and I will do that. 777 says, fake plastic trees from Radiohead. Yeah, the way I look at it is this. It's the forest of information. And every once in a while, someone like Ellis Jones will say, hey, look, this tree is fake. And all the truthers run around that tree for years, pointing out, hey, this tree is fake, this tree is fake. Meanwhile, every other tree gets a pass. We are going through saying, wait, this tree is fake, this tree is fake, this tree is fake. Fake is not the anomaly. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Fakery is the standard operating procedure. So we start clear-cutting the forest and finding every tree is fake. And that's where we're at right now. We're clear-cutting the forest of misinformation. And the truthers can see psyops, but they don't see the psy-war. They miss the forest for the trees. We're looking at the forest. That's the main distinction between truthers and media skeptics. We see the big picture. Meanwhile, they're lost focusing on one or two or three big trees. You still have some truthers who are still screeching about 9/11. It's like, that was a big spectacle designed to occupy your mind for the rest of your life, but there are so many other fake events. And unless you look at that fake event in the context of fakery, you're missing the point. Like 9/11 wasn't a big deal in the sense that it wasn't like the biggest transformative event, but rather it was just one scene in a contiguous narrative of fakery and fake events and psyop enhanced news narratives. But it's easy to get distracted. So my point is, don't miss the psy-war for the psyop. The Haitian nonprofit known as the Haitian Bridge Alliance has filed criminal charges against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance for saying the Haitian migrant invaders in Springfield are eating dogs and cats. Interesting. Yep, they are filing something here. It says, because they're vilifying the Haitian immigrants. And there were 33 hoaxes, 33 bomb hoaxes called in as a result of this. Now, let's say Trump and Vance win, and they're both anti-immigrant. Are they going to give their wives back? Because they're both married to immigrants. I think Vance's is from India, Trump's is from Russia. Are they going to give their wives back if they win? Because it's not consistent with their anti-immigrant stance. We're on day 7 of our conversation with Stanley Spencer about the astronaut with the vein in the middle of his forehead. And he's still in the throes of denial, which is what you would expect. And I'm happy that I'm not saddled with obligatory belief in unbelievable garbage special effects. His argument is it's the trick of the lighting that makes us think that this guy's face is swollen, but his cheekbones disappear when he flips. His eyes practically close, and he goes from looking like Butch Williams to looking like Kim Jong-il with a 180-degree flip. How did that happen? But it's not my prerogative here to tell people what to think or what to believe, but I'm challenging people to be honest with themselves. And glurfs cannot be honest with themselves. They will lie to themselves. So here's an example. Here's the example. He will not acknowledge that these two pictures look qualitatively, fundamentally different in every way. On the left, yeah, he's chubby, like Kim Jong-il. Look at his cheeks. His eyes, you can't even see them. Where are his cheekbones? Where are his sunken cheeks? What's with that? It's not a centipede. That's a vein in the middle of his forehead just popping out. This is 2 seconds after the picture on the right. Sunken cheeks, face sagging. You can actually see freckles. You can see the imperfect complexion of this man. But on the left, he's got the complexion of a tomato and his face is perfectly smooth. So to say that these two are the exact same, there's nothing anomalous, is to say that 2 + 2 is 5. And this troll here is arguing that 2 + 2 is 5. And I pointed out that even normies are laughing at this, like Nikki Baby on TikTok. She says, you know how when you was a kid and you hung upside down on the monkey bars and you get that vein that pops up in the middle of your forehead and you turn red? That's what he's looking like right now. It's like, you're right, Nikki Baby, because space is fake. Just follow that logic. Follow that step. What does this mean? Hilarious. I mean, it's my favorite show. One of my favorite shows, ISS. It's a reality TV show that many people mistake for real. It's essentially a bloopers reel. 113 in chat. Yeah, our numbers have been getting better, by the way. We have 33 on Twitch. No, I'm sorry, that's on Twitter, IPS Think Tank. 33. 6 in DLive. 113 on YouTube. And about 50 on the audio streams. I don't have a precise count, but I can kind of get that. But we're probably close to 200 people listening right now. And if you want to get the archives, or if you want to participate in the live chat, if you're listening on Paranormal Radio, RadioNet, TuneIn, go to ips.monster. Dwayne Abith says, I was unaware that Lady Gaga is playing the role of Harlequin in the upcoming Joker. Yeah, we have to get into that because she sang at the inauguration for Biden, and she was dressed up like a character out of the Hunger Games, and she had a dove on her chest there, which looked like the Mockingjay from Hunger Games, a phoenix symbol, a reset symbol. And there's got to be another connection as well. Harlequin has some connections to the, as we've been describing, this Whore of Babylon thing. It ties into this. The Christ Magdalene, the God Goddess. There's something here with this duality, with this pairing. So I'll look into it. Flozik says we need to get to 1,000. You know, after the Nipsey psyop, we would clear 1,000, 1,500 live. And then there was this rumor about, there was someone else. I think it was John, was it, let me see, when was that? Let me get the dates. When John McAfee was said to have been alive, like his girlfriend on Netflix said he was still alive. And I went on to talk about John McAfee, and we picked up more than 1,200 live listeners. I mean, we can get more numbers if we get into the game of mostly memes of the day, trending items. We can bring people in, but right now we're highly focused on quality over quantity, but that's going to change soon once we've established ourselves. In a way, AutoHoaxCon is going to open the floodgates. It is going to tear down some guardrails, and we are going to see an influx of new listeners. So, and we have to provide an explanation of why we arrive at the conclusions we arrive at. Truthers don't know why they believe what they believe. They're high on red pills, hopium, menthol. They believe what they believe because they see it on X and they retweet it, and they get a lot of positive feedback from people for sharing stuff. But they're low information believers. We are high information non-believers, very informed about what we don't believe. Matt Armitage says this channel is a threat to both sides. Exactly. Flozik says that's when I found you, since Nipsey and you had hella viewers. Well, since then we've been shut down dozens of times. Dirk says, in my gut, John McAfee is still alive. Yeah, in my gut, John McAfee is Frank Zappa. Do you see it? Frank Zappa, and then McAfee. And McAfee was known for faking his death. And apparently he told one of his ex-girlfriends that he was alive and he wanted her to run away with him. And she said no. And then she told Netflix. Salty says it's crazy how fast time is moving. Yeah, it is. It really is. I'm watching this hit piece, and it's from 2017. 2018, I sued Goldfinch, and that's now coming into fruition. But it's moving really fast, so we have to move faster. So I did say that I had a 30-year plan, and I said that in 2020, which would make it even 33 years since the channel started. But now I'm thinking we have to take this 30-year plan and make it happen in like 5 years, which I think we can do. We are accelerating, and we aren't just spinning our wheels here. Every few months I look back and I'm realizing we are fine-tuning a methodology for deconstructing the great world deception. And we're the cutting fringe at this. And so our next step is to break off from the main and alt media channels and just form our own demographic that's self-aware and different from the mainstream box. And that's about to happen. That's why Saturday is so important. Dwayne Abid said, I followed this channel since 2017-18, but was never able to make live streams until the last few years. Well, we're gonna definitely continue along this path, and right now we're engaged in what I like to call auto hoax accelerationism. And auto hoax accelerationism is basically suggesting that once we have everything set, we have our methodology, we have our parallel media breakaway, our third branch of media, then we can become what this needs to be, this think tank, this above ground challenge to the dominant paradigm. And we will be in a place to do so. The fact of it is, we're right. You know, whatever else you say about us, we are right about this. Our conclusions are correct. We do have the right understanding about what predictive programming is, concurrent programming, and how it's used to manipulate the mass mind. So we have figured out quite a few things, and we're not even done yet. You know, we're just getting started. This is the first AutoHoaxCon for AutoHoaxology 101, and we'll see what happens. But my thinking is the more people we bring in, the better. This is a multi-million piece puzzle. One person couldn't do it. One person can't see it all. It does require a think tank. All right, this is Symbia, AutoHoaxology. Thank you for joining. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the calls, as always, and we'll continue this tomorrow.
I don't believe in chemtrails. I don't live in Truthville. Just because you saw it on the screen doesn't make it real. I don't take the red pill. I don't take the blue pill. I just choose to follow my dreams. Auto hoax and chill. I stepped off the world stage and I've moved away from all the fake outrage and the hearsay. And I don't give the time of day to those that naysay, because they got a bad case of the mind day. I stepped away from the game entirely. I won't be caught up in their lame dichotomy. I stepped away from the cage entirely. I'm free today and my mind's been set by reading out of hoaxology, out of the control system finally. I know where to go if you follow me, cause I've been reading out of hoaxology. Nothing can bother me, out of hoaxology. Won't put the screen before it's blasphemy. I won't become another mind war casualty. I came up out the realm of possibility to take the helm of this reality. Cause I've been chillin', reading out of hoaxology, rejecting all the expectations of the auto-believer, to become a new creation on the raft of receivers. Standing on the sword of truth, I step the backs of deceiver, demanding burdens for the proof from all the hacks and believers. I stepped away from the game entirely. I won't be caught up in the lame dichotomy. I stepped away from the cage entirely. I'm free today and my mind's been set by reading auto-hoaxology, out of the control system finally. I know